Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture, and we have a lot of Easter eggs and hidden details for you for Empire of Death. I mean, so many in fact that we're actually going to have to split this video into two parts. So if you're watching through this and you suddenly go, hang on a minute, you skipped past the remembered TARDIS. No, we didn't. Number 38. So, Kate and the rest of UNIT fire everything they've got at Sutekh, only they realise that their bullets are turning to dust. And Kate then says, oh, one day, which is basically a nod to the long-running gag that none of UNIT's weapons ever actually seem to work against the enemy that they're fighting. So her father, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, had the same disappointment against the K-1 robot in Robot.
You know, just once I'd like to meet an alien menace that wasn't immune to bullets.
And this is why Captain Magumbo seemed so happy in Planet of the Dead when their guns actually worked against the space stingrays. Don't know if we actually ever found out what they were called. Number 37. So the death wave does hit and it starts spreading across the world and all our heroes start turning into piles of dust. Now I don't know about you, but this scene to me was very reminiscent of the end of Avengers Infinity War, where lots of our heroes similarly turned into piles of dust. Now we know that Russell T Davies keeps up to date with popular franchises like Star Wars and the Avengers and the MCU. He's mentioned them often enough for us to not have any doubt that he probably had Infinity War in his mind when he was thinking about this episode.
I don't feel so good.
Number 36. So Sutekh mentions that he saw many secrets within the TARDIS, including the name of the Doctor's granddaughter, which is Susan. And then we see a clip of Susan that flashes up, and this has been taken from last year's colorized cut-down version of the first Doctor serial, The Daleks. Number 35 to number 29. Sutekh is telling the Doctor about how long he's been latched onto the TARDIS, and then a bunch of images from past stories appear on that screen that the Doctor is holding. So there's images from the 4th Doctor story, The Rebos Operation, the 5th Doctor story, The Five Doctors, the 6th Doctor story, Mind Warp, the 4th Doctor story, City of Death, the 8th Doctor story, which was the TV movie, the 10th Doctor stories, Journey's End, Utopia and Daleks in Manhattan, and the 11th Doctor story, A Town Called Mercy. And obviously also throughout this episode we also see various clips from the 4th Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith's adventures in Pyramids of Mars. Number 28. So, Sutekh tells the Doctor that every living thing is an abomination. I am come to release them into blessed death, and I find that good. Now, this is almost certainly a callback to similar dialogue from Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars, where he says, where I tread, I leave nothing but dust and darkness. I find that good.
Where I tread, I leave nothing but dust and darkness. I find that good.
Basically, in other words, Sutekh, bit of a dick, and he thinks that killing everything is morally the right thing to do. If you say so. Number 27. So the Doctor is horrified that the death wave is happening over and over again throughout not just space but also time. And he recalls several times that he has landed on the planet Earth. So he mentions 1999, which is where he landed in the TV movie with the 8th Doctor. We have 1066, where he landed in the first Doctor serial, The Time Meddler. And then of course 2005, which is a nod to Russell T Davies' 2005 revival, which opened with the episode Rose. Number 26. So the Doctor asks a kind woman on a desolate planet if she has any metal. And we're introduced to the mighty spoon. Now the Doctor has quite a history with spoons. So the 7th Doctor played them as an instrument from time to time. The 12th Doctor fought Robin Hood with a spoon. And then the 13th Doctor melted down several spoons to make her sonic screwdriver. Number 25. And a bit later on, the Doctor confronts Sutekh, and Sutekh slaps him down with some powerful green energy. This is another reference to Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars, where he similarly incapacitated the Doctor, this time the 4th Doctor, with some green energy from his big magic glowy green eyes. Now we also see Sutekh's favourite colours, red and green, reflected in the TARDIS that he's hijacked at the beginning of the episode, which, can I just say, looks really, really cool. I think the Doctor should actually take some design tips from Sutekh, because that green and red colour scheme, I like it. Number 24. So the Doctor uses a whistle to control the TARDIS and defeat Sutekh. So basically, he uses a whistle on a dog. It's a dog whistle. Now, the Doctor has used a dog whistle several times before to summon K9 to his side, as seen in stories like the Rebos operation and the Stones of Blood. So I think that was probably a nod to that. Number 23. So along with the whistle, the Doctor and Ruby also use the intelligent rope and intelligent gloves to defeat Sutekh. So as mentioned by the Doctor, the intelligent gloves were used when the Doctor and Ruby first met and helped them both cling to the ladder on the Goblin ship, and then later on the Doctor used the intelligent gloves to yank the ship down from the sky and hot fuzz the Goblin King. The Doctor also mentions that the intelligent rope has a molecular bond, which is why Sutekh can't break free from it. Now, this is a callback to the previous story, Rogue, where the Triform trap also forms a molecular bond with the target and fixes them to the spot.
Oh, I see. My name's Bond. Molecular bond.
Number 22 to number 15. Sutekh starts bringing death to death, and the Doctor rattles off some of the planets that are being brought back to life. So there's Vortis, which was first seen in the first Doctor serial, The Web Planet, and it's home to various insect-like species. Tigella, which was visited by the 4th Doctor and Romana II in Meglos. Messaline, where the 10th Doctor story, The Doctor's Daughter, takes place, and let's just get ourselves prepared now, because does this mean the Doctor's daughter's returning? Are we seeing Jenny again? Probably not. We have Calliafrax, which is from the 4th Doctor serial, The Pirate Planet. Spiridon, featured in the 3rd Doctor serial, Planet of the Daleks. Telos, home planet of the Cryons, and one of the home planets of the Cybermen. Shan-Shen, which was visited by the 10th Doctor and Donna at the beginning of Turn Left. And of course, the Ood Sphere, which is of course the home world of the Ood. Love an Ood. I want to see the Ood return. Number 14. So last week I made a joke about Sutekh reminding me of the monsters in the live-action Scooby-Doo movie. Once again, I was reminded of them when Sutekh burned up inside the time vortex. Do I think this was intentional? Probably not. Am I still counting it as a reference? 100% yes. I mean, come on! It looks very similar, with maybe just a little bit of improved CGI. Number 13. So in The Legend of Ruby Sunday, we noticed they had used the exact same photo of Ruby and Carla and just changed the background and recoloured it to give the impression that they were two different photos. This week, they didn't even bother with the colours. So when the photos of Ruby's mum first appear up on the screen at Unit, the one on the bottom left corner and the one on the bottom right corner, they're the exact same photo. See, we see you again, art department. We see you. Number 12, and while we're on the topic of Ruby's mother, her full name is Louise Allison Miller, which feels like it might be a nod to the 8th Doctor companion Lucy Miller. I mean, they actually even look and sound quite similar. Now, Lucy hasn't actually ever appeared on screen, but she does have a long and storied history with the 8th Doctor in the expanded universe. And she was name-checked by the 8th Doctor in The Night of the Doctor, so I guess that means she's canon now.
Charlie, Carey's Lucy, Tamsin, Molly.
There are similarities, and this is the sort of thing that Russell T Davies definitely would do and definitely would know. Number 11. So after we find out who Ruby's mother is, Kate reveals that Ruby's father is called William Benjamin Garnett. Now, Russell T Davies has teased on the episode's commentary that we might actually be meeting her father in season 2. And what's very interesting about his surname, Garnett, is that garnets are a reddish-brown mineral/crystal, which obviously sounds very similar to a ruby. Now, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but this could signify that her father will be a much more important figure than he seems to be at the moment. Number 10. So then we get this big emotional goodbye between Ruby and 15. And if their outfits were looking a little familiar to you, that is because we have seen those outfits before. So the Doctor is wearing the costume that he wore throughout the church on Ruby Road, and Ruby is wearing the same tartan dress that she wore in the nightclub in the church on Ruby Road. So in other words, these are the outfits that they both wore when they first met each other, which gives this kind of nice connection between their first meeting and their last, even though this isn't their last meeting because we know Ruby's going to be in season 2, but shh. Also, this idea of a companion leaving of their own accord to spend time with their family does very much echo Martha Jones's arc. She obviously departed in series 3, but then like Ruby, Martha also returned in the following series, just in a reduced role. So there are actually a couple of parallels between the two here. Also, just while we're at it, bring Martha back, please. And number 9 to number 1. Mrs. Flood. once again swoops in at the end of the episode and steals the whole damn show. Now, if her suitcase is anything to go by, it seems like she is getting out of town. So there's a Penzance sticker on the side of it, and Penzance is a town in Cornwall in southern England, or I don't know, maybe she just wants to have a seaside holiday. There are also a bunch of other stickers on that suitcase too, and they're mostly related to Whoniverse locations. So there's one for the Singing Towers of Darillion, which is where 12 and River spend their final night together. We have New York, so good they named it twice, which was visited in New Earth and Gridlock. Cardiff, which is where most of Doctor Who is filmed. The Orient Express, which is a nod to the 12th Doctor episode Mummy on the Orient Express. Paradise Towers, which was visited by the 7th Doctor in the serial Paradise Towers. Gallifrey, which is obviously the Doctor's home world. Taraji, which is the system inhabited by the sentient sun in the 10th Doctor episode 42, and also where the train sequence takes place in The Power of the Doctor. And best of all, Clom, the home planet of the Absorbaloff. I'm telling you now, Russell's going to bring the Absorbaloff back next season. Now, there were some other things we noticed about Mrs. Flood, but we're going to save those for a separate video and break them down even further, so don't think we didn't notice. As I mentioned at the beginning, we will have a second video coming with all of the Easter eggs from the remembered TARDIS scenes. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.